Oh yes, James Randi and the bullshit $1 million prize. Let's talk about it. For those who don't know, James Randi was a showman. He was a magician turned skeptic. He got his fame from being a skeptic. He actually wasn't that famous as a magician at all. And Houdini was like his literal god. So he hated everything to do with mediumship. He hated everything to do with psychic ability. He put himself above basically everyone else, including actual scientists. So let's talk about why his prize was just bullshit. And I have my notes here on my little iPad. Number one, he controlled all the rules. Literally the testing, the outcome. He was the judge, jury, and the gatekeeper of every single. So what he would do is say, there's this $1 million, and if you can prove to me that you have psychic ability, telekinesis, mind reading, telepathy, mediumship, etc., then you win this $1 million prize. And there was some question whether that $1 million even existed, by the way. Every psychic or medium or, spoon bender had to agree to the testing protocols that Randi came up with, period. There was no gray area with this. Randi was the boss. And within being the boss, there were no checks and balances. Like, he literally got to say, oh, you didn't do it within 0.01 second of whatever, therefore you're full of shit. And there was no third party neutral person kind of checking him on his protocols. He wasn't looking for science per se, even though he consistently would refer to science as if he were some sort of scientist. He didn't have a degree. He was not a scientist. He consistently acted like he was, though. He would put himself above people with actual PhDs and years of experience. And he was a very, very negative person. Basically, these were publicity stunts every single time. His publicity stunt, no less. He would, and the people that came to him and said, I want to try this, they don't get anything out of it. He got everything out of it. He got everything out of making them look foolish. It was literally designed to humiliate people. He wasn't really investigating anything. Do you know what I mean? There's a ton of skeptics out there, and they're very false, and they're very disingenuous. They're like, I wish it was real. I would love nothing more than if it was real. Stop. So I Googled, did anyone actually ever come close to passing his protocols, if you will? Some claimants actually passed but were ignored. Multiple applicants passed the initial rounds or had statistically significant results, but were told they didn't pass because of insufficient replication. Again, his rules. One study showed that some participants had better than chance accuracy under double-blind conditions. But JREF, the James Randi Educational Foundation, I believe is what that stands for, refused to follow up or publish the data. Others were told that their ability wasn't what the challenge was testing after being led to believe that it was. So he basically kept moving the goalposts after people would get so far into his challenge. Many serious researchers also refused to engage with Randi, and it wasn't because they feared exposure, but because they viewed his contest, if you will, as biased, hostile, and scientifically unserious. That's the part no one ever talks about. This guy wasn't a scientist. He made quarters appear from behind your ear. He pulled out rose petals from his nose or something. He was a showman, a magician, a performer, a con man. So you have to think, when actual scientists don't want any part of your scientific investigation, is it science? So James Randi is famous for having said no amount of belief makes something a fact. And yet he would present himself and everything he said as factual, which is an interesting little narcissistic dynamic, in my opinion. And let's face it, he needed everything paranormal to be false. Otherwise, he was irrelevant, correct? He wrote a book called Flim Flam. All right, so this book is called Flim Flam. This was written by James Randi. I have a couple of his other books as well. He made himself into an expert just by not believing people, just by shutting them down and humiliating them and moving the goalposts. It's interesting to me, though, how similar James Randi and psychic medium John Edward are. One of the things that John Edward does very much is just shut people down. right? Or he just keeps pushing until you agree with whatever information he decides that he's pulling through. I'm going to do a longer piece actually for YouTube on both of those people. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments section, but this whole $1 million prize was basically bullshit. It was its own publicity stunt. Because if all you do is move the goalpost, then obviously no one's ever going to win it. And let's face it, no one could win it because then he would be irrelevant and he would be wrong. And there's no way James Randi was going to admit to being wrong.